Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here, and welcome back to another 25 creepy things that kids say. Everything is in a playlist down below in the description box because it was just getting to be way too many to continue to put down there in the description. So if you feel like it, you can go back and watch all of the other videos and then come back to this one, or watch them in whatever order you wish, because there is no rhyme or reason to what you should do. Yeah, we'll just get into these. Eating a red delicious apple is like taking a bite out of an old person. Okay. My wiener wants to come out and see people. Hashtag boys are weird. Yes, they are. When my niece was 3, she covered up my head with a blanket and held it down. I moved my head out where I could see her. She said, "You can't come out," and smothered me again. I laughed and said, "Why?" She gritted her teeth and angrily said, "Because I don't want you to." My daughter was in 1st grade. She told the teacher, "Mommy does drugs every day." I was called in for a stern talk with the teacher and the principal of the school. At the time, I was a smoker of cigarettes. It was anti-drug week, and the teacher was naming addictive items. Cigarettes, soda can just be as addictive as drugs. Embarrassing at the time, and we still laugh about it. When my daughter was 5, she was having a nightmare and came running from her room, still mostly asleep, and when I scooped her up into my arms, asking her what was wrong, she chillingly whispered in my ear, "Something is coming." I put her right back into her bed very quickly, wondering what exactly was coming for us. When I was 4, I asked my mother what slash meant. She looked at me strangely and said, "To cut." She asked why I wanted to know. I responded that I had said it in a dream and didn't know what it meant. When I was about 5, I had this period that lasted about 3 years. We had 3 bathrooms. One was in a basement sort of area. I would sleepwalk and turn on every single thing that released water. Showers, sinks, even the tap in our backyard. Every night I would do that, and then come and stand by my parents' bed for a while, talking about some weird stuff, before telling my parents that I had done what Satan had told me to. Then went back to bed. Every night. Okay, I'm 70 years old, and I remember to this day riding in the backseat of his car. I was about 4, looking out the back window, and we were driving the causeway going from Winthrop to Boston. As we were traveling along, I pointed towards Revere and told him that when I was big, I used to live there. I also remember the street and what the house looked like. Interesting. My little niece was 4 years old when somehow we had started talking about clowns. She told me that she doesn't like clowns, so seeing as she had never actually met one at that point, I asked why. Then she told me she doesn't mind those clowns where it's actually a human with a clown mask on, but she's scared of the real clowns. Honey, aren't we all? My 6-year-old nephew was playing in his room when he suddenly came running into his mummy. "Mummy, is Dada dead?" His granddad had died 5 years prior when he was only 1, and he was too young to remember. "Yes, dear," she responded, to which he burst into hysterical crying. She asked him why, and he asked why he had asked, and he said he came to see him to say goodbye while he was sleeping. This memory is not about me, but about a friend of mine. She was cooking and making soup. Her mother: "What kind of soup are you making?" Her: "One with dogs and cats." Mother: "But isn't that sad?" Her: "Don't worry, they're already dead." My dad and granddad died before I was born, and my mom told me that when I was about 3 or 4, I said that I liked the 2 people who talked to me. She asked me who they were and what they looked like, and I told her the exact clothes that they had died in, and that it was my nan and granddad. She said it freaked her out a little, but I have no memory. When my son was 3, he was playing in his room by himself. When I went to check on him, he's staring out the window into the night, turns to me and says, "Mom, did you know there's a silver man in the big, big dark? He comes and gets me sometimes." Trying to stay cool, I responded, "Is he nice?" He replied, "Sometimes, but he doesn't speak very well." After that, he would often ask me at bedtime to tell the Silver Man not to come get him that night because he was too tired. Alien abduction much? My grandfather died when I was 14, way before my little cousin was ever born. When my cousin turned a year old, he and his dad were playing in the basement. When he looked at his dad and said, "The gentle giant says hello and he misses you." My uncle looked at him and said, "The gentle giant? Who's that?" My cousin then smiled and replied, "He lives 6 feet under and in the sky." My grandfather's nickname was the Gentle Giant, and to this day, my cousin still talks about him. When 9/11 happened, it was just a few months before my 4th birthday. Fast forward to the next summer, and we went on a flight somewhere, and right after takeoff, I calmly looked at my mom and asked her, "Is this the part where we fly into the towers?" When I was about 2 or 3, what my mom told me, I was keeping on saying, "Baby is crying." At that time, I was the only child or baby, just like small kid all over that place. A few weeks later, they found in a graveyard nearby was a plastic bag with a dead baby. Okay. When I was around 4 or 5, I told my dad I had a dream that I would die at 18. He laughed it off. When my son was about 5 or 6, we lived in a Converture summer cottage. He insisted he saw a fisherman and his dogs outside his room. I asked him several questions, but he chalked it up to living near a lake and being in an old house. I'm also a believer in the spirit world. Several years later, I was going through my grandmother's old pictures. He manages to stop me on one of my grandparents when they were younger, and he asked who the man was, so I told him, and he goes, "Oh, that's the fisherman." I was asleep when I heard a voice, and I looked out the window, and I saw something like a bloody doll. It was a kid saying trick or treat. Creepy. One night, I was laying in bed watching TV. My son came in and wanted to lay with me. He was 7 or so, and a beer commercial came on. No biggie. Then he said, "I had my first beer when I was 19. He continued with, "Uncle Freddie was there. He was 33. I quickly added my son's beer age with 33 and came up with my uncle's current age. I lifted my comforter and said, "Get out." My son was about 6 and his step-grandma had died. After that, he would not sleep in his room or go in there alone. I had asked him why he wouldn't sleep in his room anymore, and he said, "Because Grandma Deb is in there." Alrighty then. The door remains shut to this day. My nearly 3-year-old used to like the lady who lived in the wallpaper, telling me many times that she's just there, Mummy. But his best one was when he told me he was an Egyptian boy who lived in the very top of a pyramid, and he had lots and lots of men below him who were building the pyramid for him. I asked what he did in the pyramid, and he told me I sang until I died. I asked him, did he have a mummy and daddy? And he said yes, but they died and they were put on a boat and it was set on fire. When I was 9 months pregnant with my second son, I was getting my almost 3-year-old ready, and he said, "Mommy, the baby is coming tomorrow." Sure enough, I woke up the next morning with labor pains and had him that night. My father-in-law for dinner and was sitting with my 2-year-old son on the couch. A painting behind me was of a mountain, and my son says, "Remember when we were there, Mommy?" And I said, "No, honey, we've never been there. It's just a pretend picture that someone painted." "No, Mommy, remember, we were on the yellow bus and I was the mommy and you were the son and you got lost on that mountain." What? I was interviewing Tanani, a 6-year-old boy. He was showing me a book of trains, and he loved an encyclopedia, not a child's book. When he saw a picture of an old steam train going over a bridge, he giggled and asked, "What if the bridge were made of styrofoam and the bottom was all lava?" He then laughed harder and asked, "What if I made you ride that train and you fell in and burned up?" I said, "That would hurt my feelings." He looked me dead in the face and said, "Feelings aren't real." Well, that is it for another 25 creepy things the kids say. If you haven't already, please leave a comment down below. Give this video a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell so you get notified every single time that I upload a video. I'm having so much fun with this, and there are only a couple more left, and I really hope that you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. Because who doesn't love a good creepy kid story? Again, I would love to hear if you have any weird things that your kids have said to you, or your nieces or nephews, or your friends' children, or things that you've just overheard in the general populace and public. I love you guys all so very much, and I will see you in the next video.